Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing a review on the flight test blunt nose Versa. So, the plane that you see flying right now is not the standard Versa, it is 4 inches shorter. So I took 4 inches out of the center section, but it really doesn't make that much of a difference in flying characteristics. So this will just be a review on a normal Versa. The electronics I'm using is a Castle 36 amp ESC, a Turnigy 1400 kV motor. I can't remember exactly which one it is, so I'll post a link to the motor in the description below. And 2 Turnigy 9-gram servos. Those servos are $2.50 each, so very cheap, but also very reliable. Excuse me, I have kind of a cough today. So, as you can see by the flying, it flies pretty well, and it's not the smoothest flying plane, but it's not designed to. It's more of a sport plane, sport FPV plane, you know? Right now, I'm flying with a GoPro Hero 3 Black Edition on the front, which gives me nice video. So, I know a lot of you guys want to know flight times. And so the flight times, if you're flying very aggressively like I am in this video with a lot of loops, a lot of rolls, a lot of full throttle flying, you can expect 9 to 10 minutes. Without a lot of super aggressive, with a little bit more like smooth flying, you can get 10 to 12 minutes, and if you really try to push it, you can get 15 plus minutes, and that's all with the GoPro on the front. I found that the GoPro actually helped with balance. I was a little bit tail heavy, and I put the GoPro on, and it balanced out quite nicely. So I've been flying every flight with it. Now, as far as flying characteristics, it flies pretty nicely. It's quite acrobatic, as you can see, and it's pretty fast too. With my specific motor and ESC and prop setup, I'm running an 8x4 prop, but you can definitely go slower than that, and you can definitely go faster. So mine's kind of an in-between. It's not super fast, not super slow, but for example, if I wanted to go a little bit faster, I would probably go with a 7x6 prop, which I do want to test that just to see how fast I can get this thing to go on these electronics. You could also go for a 4-cell setup and go crazy fast. But enough about that. So bad characteristics, there aren't many bad characteristics. I would say the only bad characteristic is that occasionally at low speed, if you're kind of gliding and you try to take a corner a little bit too sharp and too slowly, it can tip stall. But I've been able to recover from the tip stalls every single time. And if you do have a tip stall, what you should do is always, pretty much when a tip stall happens, one of the tips of the wings will just drop and you'll start kind of spiraling down. So what you should do is, instead of trying to fight it, go with it and apply a little bit more throttle to get the speed up before you try to pull out of it. And once you get the speed up, pull out, and you should be fine. It's worked for me every time. And of course, if you are 10 feet from the ground, just cut the throttle and just try to pull up and try to have as nice of a landing as you can. But talking about landings, this thing lands extremely nicely. It glides very well, and as I said already, if you really try to do a sharp turn at a very low speed, it can dip stall. But it glides very nicely, and as long as you keep the speed up just a little bit by not trying to climb while gliding or something like that, then you should be fine with tip stalls or anything. I find that stalling it while it's going straight there's not much of a stall. It kind of drops the nose a little bit and then it's fine. So stalling's pretty good. Again, it can get a little bit tip stally, but it's really not bad. So, as you can see by the flight footage, it is quite acrobatic, and that's because I am flying on 70% rates. On 100% rates, it actually doesn't make that much of a difference, but if you want some smooth flying, put a lot of expo and drop the rates way down, and you should have some pretty good and smooth flying. This is by no means going to be a DJI Inspire 1 super smooth, flying machine, but for good video, it's pretty good. Also, you can go quite high with it. Of course, it depends on your radio setup and all that, but I went rather high with it and got some really nice videos. So, if you want some video, just be safe, put a camera on the front, and fly around. Now, who would I recommend this to? I would recommend this to the intermediate pilot. It is definitely not a beginner plane, as it is quite fast and has ailerons, or elevons, I guess. And for building skill, because this is a scratch-built plane made out of Adam's foam board that you can get at like Dollar General or Family Dollar or some of the other dollar stores. So pretty much for builder skill, I would say sort of intermediate builder. It's not a super hard build, but if you've never built anything before, it would probably be a bit overwhelming. I would say if you've built anything with an airfoil before, this should be a breeze. I've actually built 5 of them now, and so as you can see, I really like this plane. Now, the one thing I would say is make the fins bigger, because the fins that are included with the flight test plans are quite small, and so on such a big plane you can get some Dutch roll and stuff, and it just doesn't look that nice. So I redesigned these fins. These aren't the optimal fins. I actually have a second version of this plane coming, which is actually a sawed-off Versa, which means each wingtip is 5 inches shorter, and the center section is only 6 inches wide. So it's a much shorter, much more acrobatic plane, and that will be coming in a later video. But I made much bigger fins for that one, and hopefully those are a good design. But as I said, make the fins bigger, and you should have no trouble building this plane. Also, Flite Test does have speed build kits if you need it, and they're $30, I think, something like that. But the plane itself lands very nicely, as you can see now. And the only reason that was a bit rough is because I was coming a little bit too slow, so it kind of started to get a little bit wobbly. But it's really not that bad. So I would highly recommend this plane to anyone who's looking for a fun flying plane. And yeah, see you guys in the next one.